You know, a good two-stage trigger, a lot of people haven't run with, is you don't want it so light that when you pull back, you pull through it, just like that. Right? You want it set, I don't really care what the weight is on the front, on the first stage and the second stage, or what the total weight is. It's the fact, can I pull back and stop this trigger without pulling through, okay? And can I do that when my finger's cold, all right? See, I can stop that trigger on an instant. Just stops like running into a brick wall, all right? That's what you want to adjust, and of course, see how much movement this one has on its first stage? Okay, it's somewhat decently short, I would say, okay? All right. And then we turn around, we'll look at the trigger right here, and it's 50 cal, which operates exactly the same trigger, just a little bit different. You'll notice it's got more movement on the first stage. See how far it moved back to the rear? Okay. Now, I'm not pulling through it either. It's a good trigger. Okay. Watch it work, okay? And then the other thing to know is when you put this safety on right here like that, or you put the safety on this rifle or in this action, if you watch the cocking piece on the rear, I put the safety on, this blocks the firing pin. So this protrusion of the cocking piece will be out a little more when I engage this safety. See that? Came back just a little. There goes in, came back, okay? And of course this trigger will not fire with the safety on. All right, it's not happening. So, just a couple things to know. You see, I've adjusted. This one's adjusted with more minimalistic first stage movement. Still brakes really slick. This one has a little bit more first stage movement. Everybody's got your own preference. It's kind of like, do you like a red one, red outfit, a green outfit? Or do you like patent leather shoes, or do you like cowboy boots? These triggers can be adjusted to fit your desire. Okay, you want more movement on the first stage? You want a lighter trigger? Do you want a heavier trigger? It's going to go either way. Not trying to fire this thing with safety on. Anyway. We're here to talk today about another segment of the T7T two-stage Remington 700 trigger that we manufacture. We continually get feedback, and consequently we've made a couple of small changes, and or you can make a couple of small changes so we fit everybody's action. And in essence, if you look at a Remington 700, this is a factory Remington 700, and you see the cut here. They used a wheel to make their trigger relief cut. All right, so one of our triggers easily drops in and fits in, and the pins go through, and it's very easy to go in and out of. All right. Well, a lot of custom action makers, they use an end mill. So here's a defined action with an end mill cut, and here's a stiller action. You can see the stark difference in the end mill cut. You know, obviously they had other things they were doing here at Remington, but that's just the portion that they removed to have the trigger fall in. Well, it's come to our attention that some of these cuts are actually somewhat minimalistic for the T7T, but it's a very easy fix. And the stiller, for example, doesn't really need any help. The trigger goes in with it extremely easy. And get this other trigger off of here. Let's see here. It drops right in. This is an unaltered T7T trigger. Right? It drops in, pin goes right through. Okay? It'll work right away. But if they in fact limit or they minimize this cut right here, which is the case on Defiant actions and is the case on the Remington MSR modular sniper rifle, and I'm sure you could run into it anywhere. Then if you take this trigger and you put it in the Defiant, and of course it drops right in, the problem is it just doesn't go to the rear quite far enough. So when you try to push the pin in, it won't go in. Right? That's because the trigger needs to transverse or go just slightly to the rear, like 20 thousandths. So the easy modification for that is to take T7T trigger right here where the little 90-degree edge is on both sides. Take your file and hit hit it 3 or 4 times, and knock the corner off of it, right here and right here. And what that does is that lets that trigger then drop right into the defined action, and the pin goes right in. So it's very, very simple to do. Doesn't degrade the character of the trigger. If in fact you know that you're going to buy a defined action or you're going to put it in a MSR and you call us, we'll do the mod for you here before we send the trigger out. But for about 99% of everybody else, they don't need the mod, so we're not going to implement that as a factory option or as a factory standard deal. It's going to be an option. Now we'll move on to our next product, and that is we've taken the T7T Trigger and we've taken Rock McMillan's action, 50 cal action, and this will open up big enough for this action. There you go. You can see that fits in there quite nicely. It actually has a larger, just see the safety. It's much bigger safety than a regular T7T. It's got a little more height and so on and so forth. And we're going to do that's just kind of a special modification. It's only going to be available in right hand. And then we've also done a little modification that makes this thing work really, really slick. And of course this 50 cal action is just like any of these 50 cal actions. They all have the same spring in them, even though this one's shorter. And there's an extreme amount of forward load on the sears in a 50 cal, especially when you have an angled sear. So if you ever looked at a bolt, you see there's a little angle on this portion right here. And then if you pull the bolt out and you look at a bolt, you're going to see that's a little angle right here. Well, the design of a T7T trigger allows you to square the cocking pieces. And this is an example of a squared cocking piece. It's got a 90-degree, basically a 90-degree cut in it. And our trigger has a 90-degree cut in it. Right? And what that does is there is so much load on this spring that when you make these 90, you reduce the load on the sears about 45%. So what you're going to do there is you're actually going to make your trigger last longer. There's all kinds of energy here to make the trigger work, right, in one of these. And the other thing it's going to do is it's probably going to, well, in the case of a T7T, it makes your trigger work really, really well. The safeties on a T7T are decently hard to put on and take off, okay? But when we make that modification, a 90-degree cut on the sears, then you can, this safety, it actually, it took some effort. You can hear it click there, okay? But that 50 cal safety goes on with ease, all right? And of course, we still have a great feeling 2-stage trigger that you get with a T7T, all right? And remember, the T7T's made from all stainless steel and aluminum parts and stainless steel pins and 17.7 springs. So consequently, it's a lifetime trigger. It's designed, if you look at some of the other videos, to clear debris. So that means you can dump dirt in it, you can pour powder in it, and you can freeze it. And guess what? It's going to work. And you try that with other triggers on the market, and you're going to be surprised when a lot of them don't pass those 3 different debris tests. So if you're looking for a trigger that breaks like glass, that's fully adjustable for the amount of first stage and second stage, and the weights of both, and the feel, and an adjustable trigger shoe, and the fact that it's reliable, then you found one that'll fit the bill. So keep in mind, our T7T trigger is now available for 50 cal actions, and I would imagine that's from what all I've seen, this was one of the newer McMillan actions, and this was an older McMillan action. And there's several people on the market that make a 50 cal. So this trigger will be about $100 more than our standard trigger for little different spring that's beefed up inside, and obviously a different safety. So all in all, quality product from Superior Shooting. Look for us on the web. Look at the other videos, the debris test. Look at the T7T adjustment test. And while you're there, venture over, look at some of the DTR reticle stuff. Very interesting.